Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about angle relationships corresponding to section 1.5 of your book. Our essential question or questions today are: how can I identify and use special pairs of angles? So let's talk about a few different things of angles. We're going to go through 4 different kind of new vocabulary terms. The first one is going to be called adjacent angles. So we're highlighting new vocab in green, and then we're going to talk about vertical angles, again talking about that or highlighting it in green. So let's go ahead and read this. Adjacent angles in geometry are 2 angles. They're 2 angles that share a common vertex and a common side, but they do not overlap. So they share a common vertex and a common side, but don't overlap. I'm going to highlight that in yellow just as some key information or part of that definition. That's very, very important. So let's go ahead and just draw a rough sketch of that first. So if I just draw an angle like so, like we've normally been doing, let's give it some points. So let's just say this is A, B, and then C. Now if I put a random another thing in there, I'm not going to bisect it like the other day. I'm just going to put it over here and say that is point D. Let's say this angle here is 1. Let's say this angle here is 2. Angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent. So angle 1 is adjacent to angle 2. So that's some key, or that's how we would say it. So we're going to highlight that in this pink or red color. So just to explain that again. So there are 2 angles. So we have angles 1 and 2 that share a common vertex. They share this vertex B, but do not overlap. So like this is its own angle and this is its own angle. So if I think about ABC and ABD, they both share part of that angle, but angle 1 and 2 are separate, but they're next to each other. They have this common side, this red side, but they're kind of like, if you think about a neighbor, or if you think about like a brother or sister in a bedroom adjacent to yours, they're the room just next to yours. It's not across the hallway, but it's the door just over to the right or to the left of your door. It's next to, it's sharing that common wall. And that common like in-between area is kind of the vertex, kind of where the walls kind of meet together in the hallway. So that is what adjacent will mean. In other words, they are angles that are next to each other, as I was saying, sharing a side and a vertex, but are not overlapping or forming some sort of straight line. So that is a key vocabulary term that we need to know. Vertical angles, on the other hand, are a pair of non-adjacent, so they are not next to each other, and they're formed by 2 intersecting lines. So they are formed by the intersection of 2 lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to just draw 2 intersecting lines, just like this, kind of make an X, and let's label these as angle 1, 2, and then 3, and 4. So these are angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. I just put the numbers in the order that way. By the way, vertical angles, if you think about the word vertical, is up and down kind of, but it doesn't actually mean that in geometry. It just means across from each other. So they're the opposite angles. So if I think about angle 1, that is across or opposite of angle 2. So angles 1 and 2, angle 1 and angle 2, let me rewrite that, and angle 2 are vertical. And they're vertical angles. So I put angles here. My E didn't write there, so that's there. And then if we think about that, let me go ahead and just highlight that. So like this over here is going to be vertical to this angle over here, just to highlight that kind of, just so you can see that. Now the other ones, 3 and 4, they're up and down from each other, but they are opposite of each other. Those are also vertical of each other. So let me write that down. So angle 3 and angle 4 are also vertical angles. Now we're going to be using this term probably in at least 8 of the 12 chapters. We'll be going to talk through this whole year in geometry. This is a very huge thing. Now, another very, very, very important thing, and we'll hopefully see this in a little bit, and we'll kind of self-prove it with some examples. So they are going to be always, they're always congruent. They're always the same size, same shape, same everything. So vertical angles, the pair of vertical angles, they are always going to be the same angle, or the same size, the same shape. So angle 3 and 4 are going to be equal in measure. So angle 1 and 2, if this was like 80 degrees, this would also be 80 degrees. That's always true if they're vertical from each other. Now, a couple more things that we're going to talk about are supplementary angles. So let's go ahead and talk about a supplementary angle and a linear pair. We'll talk about something called complementary on the back side, I believe. So first off, supplementary angles are angles that are a pair of angles. They're just angles that are a pair of angles whose measure adds up to 180 degrees. So a quick example of that is if I have an angle over here that looks kind of like this, and let's say this is 60 degrees, and say that's angle A right here, and then let's put another angle like this, and say this is 120 degrees, and say that is angle B. So angle A, measure of angle A, plus the measure of angle B is in fact equal to 180 degrees. This is the key thing that we need to know for supplementary angles. If we add the two angles, it equals 180. Now, this is very related to this. So supplementary angles are actually going to be very related to linear pairs. In fact, a linear pair is always supplementary. That is one of its definitions. So a linear pair is a pair of adjacent angles. So the only difference from supplementary to linear pairs is that they're going to be adjacent, formed when two lines intersecting, and then these angles are going to be supplementary, again adding up to that 180. So how do we do that? We basically just draw a straight line. So this is a line, hence linear. That's where the word linear comes from. And then we just kind of draw another angle, basically a ray coming off of this somewhere here. Now, if I think about angle 1 and angle 2, they form a straight line, which we know straight lines are 180 degrees. So this measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 is in fact equal to 180 degrees. Again, that is something that we need to know for supplementary or for linear pairs. So let's go ahead and highlight example 1 in blue, because we highlight all of our examples in blue. And let's go ahead and just try a couple, and then I would like you to find a few more on your own. So we're going to name one pair of vertical angles, and there are a lot of vertical angles here. So let's go ahead and just pick angle 1 to begin with. So let's say angle 1, and what other angle is vertical to that? So if I look at angle 1 right here, it's right here. What is opposite of it? Again, vertical is opposite. Well, we would look right here, and this angle, angle 6, would in fact be vertical to that. Now, that shows there are more around this. So if I picked angle 2, well, 5 would also have to be vertical. You could also pick 3, what's vertical to that? Pick 4, what's vertical to that? There are a lot of different options you can choose from. So let's go ahead and find one pair of angles that form a linear pair. So let's just start with angle 3. So I'm going to just say angle 3 and what? So I'm going to start highlighting angle 3. So angle 3, let's do that in red, is right here. We want to make a line with that. So there are a few ways we can do that. So if you think about it, let's highlight this. I like just going right here. This is a line that's attached to angle 3. So the other angle that is vertical to it, or sorry, linear to it, is just over here. So that those two angles 3 and 7 are creating that line. So angle 7. So angles 3 and 7 are going to be in fact a linear pair. Now there are lots of linear pairs in this. I could have done 3 and 4 because they create this vertical line as well. Now, these are in fact supplementary, so I could just rewrite those and put them here, but let's not do that. Let's pick a few different angles just for our sake. Let's do this in green here. So let's pick this angle 4 here for fun. So if I pick angle 4, let's say angle 4, and let's find a linear pair. Well, again, we could just go here and make this a linear pair, which are supplementary, 4 and 8. But we could also do 3 and 4. So I'm just going to highlight angle 3 right here to be that line or that supplementary angle. So angle 3 and angle 4, doesn't matter which way you say it, but those would be supplementary or also a linear pair.